It was supposed to be just another Halloween night, one filled with laughter, tricks, and treats. But for Sarah and her friends, that night would become a haunting nightmare, a night they would never escape, even after leaving. Sarah had grown up in that old farmhouse, surrounded by eerie creaks, ancient wood, and a chilling silence that always seemed to weigh heavy on her. Her grandmother often spoke of the house's dark history, the things that happened there, the attic. She never went into the attic, and she never let Sarah go either. "It's not empty up there," her grandmother had said. "It's where things happen." But tonight, things were different. It was Halloween, and Sarah was ready to prove herself to her friends. Emily, Mike, and Rachel were daring her to do the one thing that had always terrified her. Emily teasing, "Come on, Sarah. It's just a game. We all know you won't do it. Go into the attic, stay there for 5 minutes, and we'll all follow." Her heart raced. 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes in that haunted attic. Sarah felt her knees tremble. The attic door stood at the top of the stairs, its hinges creaking, as if it knew she was coming. But this time she couldn't back out. Not in front of her friends. Mike mocking. What's the worst that could happen, right? She stood up, her legs like lead. As she ascended the stairs, the temperature seemed to drop, the chill creeping up her spine. The old house groaned under her weight, as if protesting her every step. Sarah reached the top, her hand hovering over the cold doorknob. Her grandmother's words echoed in her head, but she brushed them off. As Sarah slowly opened the door, the stale air hit her like a punch to the gut. The attic was dark, suffocating, the only light coming from the dim hallway behind her. Dust and old cobwebs swirled in the air, making it difficult to breathe. She took a step in, her foot sinking slightly into the thick, ancient floorboards. And then the door slammed shut behind her. No wind, no draft, just a loud, final thud. The sound echoed in the empty house, and in that moment, Sarah knew something wasn't right. She rushed for the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. It felt like someone, was holding it shut from the other side. Sarah, voice shaky, "Guys, let me out. What's going on?" But the only answer was silence. And then, the whispering started. At first, it was faint, barely audible, like a breath on the back of her neck. But then it grew louder, clearer. "Leave this house." Cue eerie whisper sound. "Leave this house." She turned, her eyes darting around the dim attic. Nothing, only shadows, and the furniture that seemed to loom like silent witnesses to something much older. But then, in the far corner, something moved. A figure, pale, ghostly, and flickering, stood there. It wasn't solid. It wasn't real, but it was there, staring at her, its eyes hollow, lifeless. It moved closer, its limbs jerking unnaturally as it glided across the floor. Her heart pounded in her chest. She couldn't breathe, couldn't move. The figure reached out, its fingers like ice, but it wasn't the cold that terrified her. It was the whispering, growing louder now, more insistent. Whispering louder now, "Leave, or never leave." Sarah staggered back, her eyes locked on the figure. "What do you want?" she managed to choke out, but the figure only took a step closer. It was almost as if it was alive, but not in the way she understood life. Her breath hitched. She ran. She tried to escape the attic, but the door refused to open. Then, with a deafening crash, the figure lunged at her. A cold, wet hand grabbed her arm. She screamed, but no sound came out. Everything around her blurred. The whispers, the figure, the cold that was now suffocating her. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the door flew open. She bolted out of the attic, rushing down the stairs, her feet barely touching the steps. Her friends looked at her, but their faces were confused. Sarah was pale, breathless, her eyes wide with terror. Rachel, confused. "Sarah? What happened?" She didn't speak. She couldn't. What happened in that attic was beyond words. But when she turned to look at the house from the driveway, The windows, those cursed windows, were no longer dark. They were glowing. A pale, unearthly light shone through them. And there, in the window of the attic, she saw it. The figure, watching her. She never returned to that farmhouse again. But every Halloween, the locals say they hear whispers coming from the attic. The whispers that beckon anyone brave enough to listen. Leave or never leave. Some doors, once opened, are never truly closed. Dare to enter or dare to leave.